because you can function, minister of the gospel, watching this thing, you can kick the can down the road in terms of these three pillars that need to be prioritized and addressed.
The tendency in ministry, as you guys know, is to just chase your tail. You just run after this thing and the next thing and the next thing. And in that atmosphere, I think we could say pretty strongly that the possibility of deep transformation is virtually impossible.
How does God really bring transformation to the heart? There's this idea that right beliefs equate with the right behaviors. And although that's true for some, for most of us, it doesn't make an easy equivalent. In other words, information doesn't always lead to transformation.
Right.
So I've been reflecting on the work of God to make me more like Christ over the last 2 decades. And we want to get into how does God really bring transformation to the heart? And I think that's a question worth thinking about.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that we got after this in the past is we were working on a presentation together. Kirk and I kind of noodled out just by reflecting on how God has met me over the last 2 decades. What I noticed first was he focused on my identity, who I really am. And the intent was for me to try and recover my true self.
So he highlighted identity as a thing.
There was just a separation, Nick, from performance and this idea of doing stuff for God and asking for his blessing as a referendum on who I am.
Wow.
And what my sense of worth and value was. And God just really interrupted that with the biggest transition I'd ever been in, which was a professional career change from having pastored as a senior pastor 21 years into this missionary life to minister to pastors. And how fascinating that God would simply kind of take me to the school of hard knocks and say, you really have a lot of interior work to do to embrace who I know you to be.
Wow.
But you're not living into any of much of the fullness of what that's like.
For you to embrace who God knows you to be?
Yeah.
Ooh, so you to embrace who God knows you to be.
That's right.
It takes me a second to
I mean, it's a
head
spin.
around what you're saying.
So
for you to embrace who God knows you to be. I know this seems funny, but I actually was you said it so smooth, and I was just trying to figure out who's who.
Well,
but I get it.
Yeah.
Like God knows your true identity.
That's
and
right.
He's inviting you to embrace your true identity.
100%.
I get it.
And this is catalyzed through the shift. Like your experience of it was catalyzed through the transition to a new role.
Right. So I was 46 at the time. I was becoming a missionary to the church, not from the church. And in this role, God would begin to rehab my heart because it needed some change. I was lost in, we've talked about this in other conversations, in the performance.
Yeah.
So the tendency when a leader is not operating in the true self zone is to rely on the false self. And the false self is characterized by doing things to appear a certain way or to have a persona or to be other than who you really are. And that was certainly characteristic. And so where do we get our sense of self? Where do we get our self-worth? Is it from heaven or is it from earth?
Oh.
See, the cultural conversation is I am what I produce, or I am what I do, or I am what I achieve.
Yeah.
And for most of my early ministry career, it was built on go, 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 get it done, achieve, accomplish, be noticed, and all of that operating out of some other place than who God declares me to be. And so I wanted to open up the conversation tonight around our sense of identity and recovering our true self as a beginning place.
Yeah.
There's actually several other aspects of deep interior work that I hope we get to in this conversation. If not, we'll just maybe talk about it in the next one. But but what I love is he started on the inside, and then he invited me to do some interior work. So let's talk about our sense of identity and how God forms and informs us on who we really are.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the key essentials. In fact, we're going to put these together in a little package. We call them the 3 pillars of spiritual formation. And so the first one has to be identity.
Identity, yeah. So it's interesting, buddy, that you identified performance as being the thing that wars against an identity that's anchored in who we are biblically, you know, who we are eternally, because there's no performance, I don't think, in heaven.
That's interesting.
Right?
It's a bomb.
Right. And we're going to be there a lot longer than we're here.
Are you saying they're not going to count how many times I say holy at the throne? No.
What you were
Back
saying.
to what I was
like
trying
it.
to say.
I like it.
Performance. So think about this. This series is for pastors in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And I think the press to perform comes at us from both sides.
Yeah.
On the positive side, I want you to think the best of me. I want you to think well of me. I want you to follow my lead. And so for those reasons, I pressure myself to perform.
Yeah, if we perform, we think we're going to get this.
Then
from our
others will be
people.
drawn to Jesus.
Yeah.
want to follow him.
It's not a purely selfish motivation at all. I think it's all mixed in.
Yeah.
Because I can want to see the kingdom advance, people won to Christ, communities transformed, all that, and as a result, I, flog myself to work harder and harder and faster.
Yeah.
But from the negative side, there is also this pressure to perform. That if you fail, if you're not spectacular, if you're not accomplished enough, if you're not accomplished enough fast enough, then then there's all this other stuff which feeds the insecurity.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Which who's measuring the enough?
Well, in most cases, as I often say to my coaching clients, the guy with the boot on your neck demanding that you be more spectacular
is
you.
Yeah.
You're the dude with the boot on your own neck saying, Kirk, be smarter, be more clever, be more godly, be more witty.
Yeah, and all of us have different things that live under the surface that are those identity components, right? Like for me, I know a core challenge for me is abandonment, right? So the abandonment leads to performance in certain kinds of ways.
There you go.
Right.
And man, that's just like so regular and consistent. And so I imagine that there's different versions of that for everyone. But at the same time, it's still like we all in some sense have something related to identity that's influencing us to live in that performance
space, right?
Yeah.
That's a question. Would you?
Yeah, because we're operating out of
our
wounding, our brokenness, our sin, our family of origin issues, our traumas. All of that complexity causes me to wonder, who am I really?
Oh yeah.
And so, in the absence of clarity, we're just finding our way forward. For me, Nick, it was approval. So did I want people to love God? Yes. Did I come sincerely every Sunday morning to preach what I thought God had given me as a revelation for the sake of his people? Yes. But internally, something was not as it should be. And what was missing is the sense that God declares me to be his son, and with that clarity comes a yieldedness to accept God's acceptance of me.
For you to accept,
for me
his
to
acceptance,
accept
right?
God's acceptance of me without trying or striving or performing or working hard to earn it, which is how I grew up. You get love from
Performance.
Right.
And I would, so with abandonment, I'll show love in order that someone won't abandon me.
Right.
Yeah.
So my performance is in trying to show love. So
That's so good.
I overlove or overwork to love.
There you go.
Or what I think is love.
Right.
I just hit that microphone. Sorry.
It's okay.
Overwork to love so that the identity piece gets satisfied.
I think this is interesting because you mentioned the true self and the false self. And I am 100% in the same boat. We can go back to a conversation in the first season, like the 4th or 5th one, where it's all about me and this. And
I remember that conversation.
Yeah, so do I. And, that was one moment on a long continuum of me realizing I'm trying to earn love from everybody all the time. And here's the interesting thing. I think as God removed my ability to perform, as near as I can tell, the best that I could articulate, the things that used to work for me, mentally, like my focus, these things that I normally depend on, my capacity that I normally use to produce, to earn the love that I think I need to earn, stopped functioning. Through circumstances.
Right.
And I find myself avoiding what God wants to do in my identity by just leaning into my false self. It like my false self is the mask I can put on between me and God so that I can avoid looking at his acceptance, accepting his acceptance of me.
Wow. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah.
So when you say I have to accept his acceptance of me, that just resonates because I think about how uncomfortable that is.
Yeah.
Because I didn't earn it.
Yeah.
I didn't earn it.
So, John, what was blocking my acceptance of God's acceptance of me was an awareness of a couple big things that remained relatively unconscious or I was unaware of until I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay. One of those things was a sense of inferiority. So that goes all the way back to when I was in grade school, and then it just was, I don't know, like joined, two people joined together.
This was welded, merged.
And so what I'm trying to say is one of those things was inferiority. So I always had to compete because I needed approval. I needed acceptance. Yeah. And God had to bring me to places where I could accept his acceptance. Another one that I think is really big for people, Christians, and Christian leaders for sure, was a sense of shame. My shame for what I had done, and this sense of I'm not okay because of the feeling of shame.
Yeah.
Paralyzed me or blocked the free love and acceptance of God. And so I lived half of my adult life with a distorted sense of who I really was.
Missing that grace.
Missing the grace, missing the assurance and reassurance that God loved me no matter what.
Wow.
I had no other grid to plug that into. As a guy in mid-career. And so I think identity was, I look back on that and I'm surprised because of other things I've read and the other conversations I've had with Christian leaders, but God knew. And that's what I want to say to our audience is God actually knows. But it takes a slowing down, a reflection, a period of time when life isn't going so well to begin to see that stuff surface. And God, through the Spirit, when we're
when we're ready, the Spirit of God begins to create the opening for us to take a look at who we really are on the inside. So I love that when you think about spiritual formation, you start with this idea of who is God and who am I in God. And they're not trite answers.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is that feeds right into the second pillar.
Talk about it.
Well, if the first pillar is identity, accepting that I'm accepted in the beloved.
Yeah.
The second pillar is security. And, you know, we've said many times in this series so far, if we understood how greatly God has provided for us and how secure we are in Christ,
That's right.
we would be the most calm, confident people walking the planet.
Yeah.
And you could distinguish a Christian from everyone else by that calm confidence.
Yeah.
And that is the security. That's a way to think about that security piece.
To that piece, I think I love the fact that it roots it in security in someone.
Yes.
Not just security in an idea.
No, not a
Or
concept.
like we're confident in ourselves.
Self-secure. No,
Right? But like
that's right.
that lands it in
In his character.
in his
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, in God's being.
Right.
And God's nature. Yeah, bro.
And we see Jesus acting like that, right? Like Jesus had a different sense of security than everyone else. Where even the religious leaders are like, he's teaching with this authority.
Amen.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to bring up was how God gently and consistently, and at times imperceptibly, from my point of view, was at work to help me begin to address my fears. I think insecurity is a way of talking about the evidence of our fears.
Wow.
And so I think God was kind in helping me confront, I'm afraid to fail. I'm afraid of what others are going to say about me. I'm afraid to succeed. I don't know if this thing takes off and flies, if I'm adequate to handle the success I say I want.
Right.
I think I was fearful of my own mortality and many, many, many other fears. But how wonderful to do exactly what Kirk said. Find my strength, my confidence in how God was providing for me. And if I'm really secure in God, then I have less fears, and the fears are less severe.
Wow.
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
We live as if God doesn't know
Yeah.
our weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right.
God doesn't know our vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
God doesn't know our flaws.
Right.
And so one of the things that I love that you point out is surrendering to who I actually am and who I'm not, and being willing to be just that dude.
So,
Well, if I got my security wrapped up in all the things that I think I should do, and
You'll never cross that river.
Wow.
You'll never
can't be a part of that.
right.
so they come to John the Baptist and say, "Who are you? And aren't you one of the prophets? No. Aren't you the Messiah?
Yeah.
No, not the Messiah. Well, aren't you one of the prophets? No. Well, who are you? I'm who I say I am. I'm, the one in the wilderness.
Yeah. Making the
making
way.
the way. Here's the Lord, pointing to Jesus. So, knowing who we are and who we're not, it's huge conversation. So, to be more specific on the security side, I think it was a recovering or a reconciling of my past. I had to go all the way back. The Lord was kind to invite me to go back and rethink about some of my security needs growing up as a way of understanding how they manifest even as an adult.
can you give an example of that?
Yeah, so I was talking to Kirk off camera a while back, and There's nothing like having a single mom trying to raise 3 kids, and they announced that our water is going to be shut off. So I have a recollection of going around with buckets and pots and pans, filling them with water. So when the water is shut off at our house, we could still brush our teeth or cook or whatever. And, and that just raises an insecurity. Not having strong role models as parents. I'm sure they did the best they could do. You know, I want to give them honor.
Of course, yeah.
You know, isn't that what we're all trying to do?
Right.
But maybe not having as strong of models. I remember the sheriff pulling up and repossessing our family car. So it created for me as a kid this idea that we're not like all the other families. Well, that's not true because we don't know what the other families are going through. But from the outside, it appeared that we aren't secure financially. One more example, Nick, was I remember, it sounds so strange now, but the only time we got new clothes was at Christmas and maybe Easter, because my grandmother would buy them for us. So I'm growing up with this idea that I only had one pair of tennis shoes and one pair of dress shoes. You wore your dress shoes to church and you wore your tennis shoes every other time. I mean, it's kind of crazy now to think that people grew up with just 2 pair of shoes, and we were grateful. So as an adult, it created, as I grew out of my own family of origin and was on my own in college and stuff, it created a scarcity mentality. There's really never enough. You got to really be frugal. You got to always look for the sales. You can't give yourself any kind of abundant, extravagant gift. And it just like cramps or compresses and severely limits your personhood.
There you go.
Yeah. And so God would say, that's not who I am. And that's not who I've made you to be, David. So capping on this idea of security is to begin to live in the gratitude of a God who loves me and has provided for me my whole life. I mean, I could tell you a story, we could tell you story after story. You guys have your own stories. But it's recognizing that God's providing those things.
Right.
And so I'm learning to rest in who God is and what He's providing.
And for me, it'd be learning that God hasn't abandoned me my whole life.
Yeah.
Come on.
Not and once. That He's not going to.
Who God
He
is
cannot.
in His presence with you.
Yeah. Right.
That's huge, but that changes everything.
Yeah.
It's a subtle but essential.
I can't believe how much it's connected to. I mean, it's amazing how deep-rooted that particular broken identity,
vulnerability.
Yes. And so, Nick, the tendency in ministry, as you guys know, is to just chase your tail. You just run after this thing and the next thing and the next thing. And in that atmosphere, I think we could say pretty strongly that the possibility of deep transformation is virtually impossible.
Yeah.
And so we have these episodes where God divinely interrupts or allows things to happen to get our attention. This is what was happening to me. God was getting my attention.
It just reminds me, of that verse that perfect love casts out fear. And isn't it interesting, the first pillar, identity, really allows us to interact with and receive that perfect love.
That's right.
That without the identity piece, the whole conversation we're having is
That's right.
we have to be able to receive the love that God wants to give us so that we can even begin to deal with our insecurities and our fear. That's that's awesome.
Yeah, and I would say that you can't be an effective leader, ministry leader, without embracing the security that we have because of Christ, because of who we are in Him, because of who he is, which is unrelated to our performance.
So how fascinating it has been for me to not read this in a book, not talk to other Christian leaders to get this sense of how God's forming, but just to reflect on big areas of my life that the Spirit has been working in me on over 20 years. The first one was identity, rescuing me from inferiority and my need for others' approval. Security, rescuing me from insecurity, helping me depend upon God and His provision and overcome the fears that keep me so limited. And all this, so much of this is unconscious under the surface. It's there, but it's not screaming. It's just, as you said, Nick, it shows up in everything.
Well, and you're highly functional.
I'm very functional. I'm very functional.
In your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s.
That's right.
So, and that functionality enables you to keep a lot of that stuff buried, but you're aware of it, and you become increasingly aware of it over time.
That's well said.
But I would report that I think that thing is the thing that has generated my habitual activity that's resulted in exhaustion.
Yes,
like
100%.
Yeah.
So it's like functional, I mean, I know you're talking about him, and I'm just assuming.
I think a lot of us are, though, right? Like,
yes.
I mean, if you're a Christian leader, a lot of times, you start as an intern somewhere, you get a youth pastor, whatever the path looks like. Like, you're functioning, you're doing the stuff, you're administrating.
That's right.
You're leading the prayer team, and whatever you're doing, there's a lot of function.
Right, and because you can function, this is my point. Because you can function, minister of the gospel, watching this thing, you can kick the can down the road in terms of these three pillars that need to be prioritized and addressed.
And that's the true false self conversation, right?
Once again,
I can continue to function by just avoiding this thing that I know is over. It's like blinding half of my vision.
Right.
But I can continue to function.
That's right.
I'm functional. No depth perception because I can't see out my right eye. Right?
But nobody has to know that. And you hope that they don't.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
so, bro, what's the third pillar?
And you try to hide it.
Totally.
That's it. Yeah. Third pillar is authority. And so when your identity is where it needs to be, and you're operating out of the sense of God's sufficiency.
That's it.
And so you have your needs, your deepest needs met in Him, so you don't have to be insecure. Then it's a natural next step to think about how we show up in the lives of other people.
Because of that.
Because of the clarity and the acceptance of all that.
Right.
And so the third one is authority. This is responding to God calling us out to be ambassadors of Christ. I like it because it's about how we get to represent Him in the world.
This is so interesting, hearing you say this about authority, because isn't authority what every Christian leader wants to operate out of, and is operating out of some measure of, as they're doing whatever they're doing? I mean, I know when I was younger than I already am now, I was certainly trying to operate out of a measure of spiritual authority, and I was to some degree.
Right.
And I know I'd worked out drastically less of my identity and security.
Yeah. Jean, I appreciate that understanding. We're not saying it's not there. I'm saying as the identity and security were anchored more and more in God and therefore settled in me, it seemed like I was now ready to represent Him differently, with power, with sensitivity, with a caring and an urgency that I did not have before. In fact, I would say it was more like the Pharisee. I could just walk on the other side of the road. It was the metaphor that troubled me. And I noticed a distinct difference as these are being reconciled, and my response to the people right in front of me was clearly different in a sense of caring for them at a soul level. I felt guilty as a Christian leader, not caring more about the people in my neighborhood, not caring for the people outside of the church that I wanted to care for. I just found myself busy caring for all the other people who are already convinced as followers of Christ. And so the insensitivity is to the very nature of being a missional, incarnational presence of Jesus in my local community.
Seeing the world the way
Seeing the world the way God
he
sees,
does.
and caring for the world with God's heart. Yes. That's what was shifting for me, Nick. And so that sense of I'm no longer guilty because I am who God says I am. And I have what God has provided. Therefore, I have something of meaning and significance to offer everyone that God brings into my path. And so that's what I think of when I think of operating with spiritual authority. And also, I'm grateful for our mission organization that we're a part of that made a heavy investment in us in believing that we are we're able to operate in the realm of God's power and spirit. So supernatural could be more normalized in our lives. And so that's probably a whole separate conversation.
Right.
But it's wonderful to think that in Christ, the power that Christ has is available to followers of Jesus like us.
Yeah.
And I'm learning and experimenting and trying to understand, how do I represent him well as his ambassador on the earth? And it's pretty wonderful. And all I want to say is it's different from the way I was operating before.
Yeah.
And so I don't even know how to talk about it other than it's different.
Yeah. It feels exhorting to hear that.
Cool.
Because I think we all aspire to walk like Jesus did as Christian leaders. I don't think that's a jump. And I think part of that is, he was the tether, heaven to earth right there, just like he taught us to pray.
Right.
And there's a certain amount of spiritual authority that he walked with that I think we all want to walk with. And it's so interesting to hear the distinction between, I'm hearing you say that the spiritual authority that you walk with becomes more like Jesus as you allow God to form your identity
100%.
and secure yourself in him.
100% right.
So it's, it's like, and that's powerful because I've met people who are leading in a way that is, I would say, powerful, but it didn't leave me feeling like this is Jesus. It felt without love. There was lots of power and no love. And I was literally asking myself, leaving that, like, where is Jesus in this? Because it doesn't feel like him, the Jesus I read about, the Jesus I know.
As you're saying that, it makes me think about people in authority, people of platforms even, who have developed a skill or having a way of speaking or something that's like, can seem very influential, authoritative. But I also, so I'm recognizing that there are those people, but I find myself so much more drawn to personally people that it seems clearer that there is a real certain lived, experienced clarity of identity that has flowed into a security in who they are, and in that awareness of security, they naturally operate with an authority.
I wish I could have said it that clearly, Nick. That's it.
Yeah. But that's way in terms of one who's been ministered to.
Yeah.
It's those people in those situations where there's a more genuine, true, authentic kind of thing that I'm perceiving. That's my perception, but I'm perceiving is at least I experience it as better and more impactful on me.
Yeah.
Right?
My hunch is it's because it's coming from a whole different place.
Yeah.
It's coming from a whole different place, I think. And so we want to bless you guys in this journey of spiritual formation.
We bless you with the experience that convinces you of your identity in him
Yeah.
and only in him. That dovetails right into your security. Security that's not found in our performance. It's not found in our pleasing people, but found in who God is for us, our all in all. And therefore, for the experience of walking in authentic authority
Yeah.
that will change the world because you lived. Think of that. Think of that. In Jesus' name.